One question. What are the energy risks with Israel and Hamas conflict? It's a pleasure having Nelson Ricardo Fernandes da Silva. He is technical director of Brasco Enterprise, 25 years as a Brazilian Army officer, MBA from Manchester in strategy, member of Institute of Risk Management UK. Good morning, Nelson.
Oh, this is my pleasure. Thanks for having me. And for sure is one of the most important headlights in the moment. To
Yeah.
everybody want to know where we are going and what's the forecast. And I would say it's a 1 million question. Yes, that's everybody's looking
What can
for.
happen? Exactly, exactly. And greetings to Luis Kawaguchi, one of the best journalists I've met. He's a fantastic guy. He's not here today, but it's a pleasure. So please let me check. Um, Let me show some slides, three slides about this situation today. One of them is saying that strained global oil and gas supplies already disrupted by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Is the first thought they have. The second one is the conflict has already cut gas supplies to Israel and could start to have wider impacts by waiting on exports. And the third and last is that, sorry, it's not the last, a broader conflict seen risking LNG flows via Strait of Hormuz. And this is the last, three different positions in this region that can, let's say, restrain flow of oil, gas, and other energies. Strait of Hormuz, 21.7 million barrels per day. Remembering that the world is 100 million barrels per day, so 21% of the world's oil flow is via Strait of Hormuz. The second is a Suez Canal, 23,000 vessels passing through this canal every day. No, yeah, I cannot read here. And the third position very close to Yemen. So please, Ricardo, what are your comments about this situation and the risks for energy supply in this region
It's
and
a
for the
very
world also?
it's a very concerning situation because of the huge amounts of the flow that you have in the Hormuz Strait, but not just only about this. Yes, nowadays I think OPEC is responsible for around the 30% of the entire production.
Yeah,
Of course, you have different options. One of them is Russia, and this door is already closed. Yes, so okay, but the biggest problem is when you talk about commodity, you have a international market. It's not just about supply and demand, but when you decide to peg a price or to define a price, one of the variables that you are going to take into consideration is uh, the possibility to have easy access to the commodity or not. Yes, the main characters of a risk, the main you have two things that are very linked to risks. One is the uncertainty to happen or not to happen. The second one is about the impact that is going to have on the market. So when you decided to define the price for your commodity, of course, supply and demand is very important, but you have some uncertainty to 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 be able to get the supply. you are increasing the price, yes, because every time that you have this type of uncertainty in the market, you are supposed to change the price. You are supposed to increase the price to face some kind of possible loss that you can have. This is one thing. The other thing is, if you have uncertainty, the insurance company is supposed to adjust their insurance policy similar to the price to the freight or something like this.
Mhm.
So you have like a ripple effect in the entire market. Even if you buy oil from Venezuela, you are going to face some backlash of this issue because the entire market is going to adjust the price because it is a global commodity. So if you adjust the price because it's difficult to extract the oil from Iran and to cross the entire Hormuz Strait and send to Brazil, but even the other guy that is in a completely different place, different site in the world, they are supposed to increase the price just because you have a common price in the international market. So they are going to take advantage of this situation, of course. So I think you can face future backlash and the future increasing the price of the this type of commodity.
Mhm. And it's interesting because not only the constraints themselves, but the perception of risks that you are mentioning. So the feeling of, oh, that something can happen, so let me prevent with more storage, more different things, and this can affect the price themselves.
Yes, because when people that define the price is based on the future, so you need to make a decision now, and you are gonna see the picture that you have in front of you, and it's not okay, now you can cross the Hormuz Strait, but you have no idea what's going to happen
Yeah,
because you are not able to control the variable. You need to stress all the types of variable because you have a completely unstable situation in this region. So this is the main problem. It's not possible to foresee
yeah.
something very stable in the near future. So this is something that's gonna stress the market, and there is a global commodity is gonna to be very volatile, and the price is supposed to go up or to go down at the
Like
same time.
spikes.
Yes, the volatile is
Yeah.
gonna occur.
Yeah, but talking a little bit about the cause of this situation, and with the United States sending some ships and warships to there, and China is thinking to send something for there. I don't know. How do you see the timeline for these conflicts? You see this will be a long conflict or a short one that they can finish very fast?
I think they will try to speed up the conflict, yes, to finish it as soon as possible, because you have a convergence of different variables that is going to be very complicated to deal with them, to tackle them, because the first problem is most of the markets are very stressed, or you have a problem with the inflation, you have a problem uh,
Food, for instance.
with foods and a lot of things. So commodity, any type of economy to to keep it running, they need energy. So energy is something that's not possible to isolate.
Yeah.
The, we have a entire ripple effect in the entire economy, and you are gonna increase the inflation in the different type of countries, in the different type of markets. So this situation, at least in this moment, that the European Union, United States, they are facing a high level of inflation based on the historical levels of inflation that they have been facing for many years. So
Mhm.
it's very difficult to put this new variable inside it. So if it takes more time, the conflict, you need to deal with this type of inflation for much more time. So
Mhm.
it's something that's going to be very difficult for the Western developed economies,
Countries.
and even for the other countries that they rely on importing energy, importing oil. So it's going to be very difficult. Uh, on the other hand, it's very difficult to contain Israel because they are supposed to give a solution to their society. So the Israel probably is going to take a very strong measures to curb the Palestine, the Hamas, and it's not very simple because the Palestinian authorities they do not have any type of control or any type of means to curb Hamas. So it's something that can take a lot of time to solve the situation
Mhm.
because if Israel takes some measures, you cannot ensure that after 1 month or 2 months,
Yeah.
Hamas is gonna to act again. And the another problem is when you talk about Palestine, you have different passions when you talk about Middle East countries, the Arabic countries, they see this question in a completely different way.
Mhm.
I think after the Yom Kippur War, they decided to impose some restrictions, uh, utilizing OPEC to do so. And
Mhm.
on that time, we faced a huge crisis, oil crisis in the 70s. Of course, now you have different countries producing oil, but even in this situation, if they decide to replicate what they did in the 70s, it's going to be very difficult for the Western countries that
Yeah.
depends on oil and gas. It's going to be very difficult.
Ricardo, please tell us a little bit about your career, your professional life, because I know that you lived in some places close to this region, no, and Russia and other places.
Uh, in fact, after having been working in the army for 25 years, I worked for a peacekeeping training center that used the peacekeeping training center was linked to is linked to the US, and after that I started working with management consulting, and I moved abroad to take my MBA from master. And after that, I started working as a digital nomad. I lived in Israel for some time, around 3 months. I lived in Russia around 3 months. I lived in Turkey around 1 month, and I lived In Ukraine, two, twice. The first time around 3 months. The next time I lived there around 4 months. Estonia and some countries in the neighborhood.
Hmm. Hmm. So
And
you are very familiar with this conflict region that we have today.
yes, I lived in Angola and in Haiti when I was working for the United Nations. So the conflict is very common. In Brazil, it's not very common because the South America is not too common to see any conflict. But
Mhm.
in Europe and in Middle East is very common. In Africa is very common this type of conflict. And I think the process of the globalization now is gonna uh, is gonna increase the number of conflicts because you have some countries claiming for a multipolar world. When you talk about multipolar worlds, you are talking about to accommodate different type of interests from different countries, and it's not that's gonna be so easy to accommodate, yes,
Yeah,
because every time that you move with this type of power, they
hmm,
have a huge interest and they need
yeah,
to project power in order to ensure this type of interest. So it's
yeah,
and you need to displace somebody to
yeah.
take their place.
Let me share a comment or a question. I'm not sure about that. Dana Novakovic, to answer how long the conflict will last, we first need to answer what is the motivation of it, not the trigger, but the deeper motivation. So, can we please clarify state? And the first point that he mentioned, or sorry, he or she, I'm not sure, the motivation of the conflict and the long it will last. Okay. Uh, okay. So probably the focus of the question or comment is how long will it take this conflict, as what the root motivation of this conflict.
The motivation is something that uh, can uh, implies in a lot of time, uh, can last for a lot of years because if you go to Torah and the holy place for the Jews is the Palestine. So they are supposed to the world is supposed to change one day because they believe that this change is only happen when they grab the entire Palestine, and the entire Palestine is populated with Jews. So if you take this type of perspective, and if you take the perspective of the Palestine that they have been living there for many years since the Roman Empire gave up of this land, so they are not supposed to abandon their lands. So you have a conflict or a clear conflict of interest that there is no way to
To solve.
accommodate and to solve this. You can even to accommodate, but not to solve
So
this.
solve or never.
Never.
That's the point.
So, and you have some radical parties like, and they have their uh, almost armies like Hamas, Fatah, Hezbollah, and they are not supposed to sit on sit at the table to negotiate a peaceful solution. So this is the problem.
Mhm.
The second problem is who is gonna keep this conflict running. To keep a conflict, at least you need to have food, weapon, money, and the energy. So it's difficult to foresee or forecast or to define that's gonna be uh, is gonna finish in a near future, in a distant future, because you have no idea how this dynamic is gonna happen.
Mhm.
Uh, if the Saudi Arabia decided to support this type of conflict, and the Iran do the same, this type of conflict can last
Keep
for a
long.
lot of years, and it's very difficult because one thing is what the leader of a country states. The other thing is the uh, internal, the population of this country. Uh, Even if you go to Saudi Arabia, you have the MBS, and he is a little bit more pro-Western, but he's not the he is the prince. He is not the king. And
Mhm.
the king and the old generation, they are very pro-Palestinian. So, and I have no idea about how the Saudi Arabian population is going to embrace this cause or not.
Uh-huh.
Similar is going to happen in the different countries
Countries
in the
around there.
region, and
Yeah.
this depends of a lot of things because if you change, if you have a specific uh, event that trigger outcry in the entire region, it can change a lot and can degrade the diplomatic effort to solve this type of problem.
Uh-huh.
And is very
Okay.
common in this type of situation because nowadays with the internet, if you see any type of problem with a
Mhm.
bombardment in the wrong place or any type of image that can
Okay.
overspread in the entire on the entire internet, and the population
Yeah.
in the region can force the government
Okay.
to take a different course of the action.
Actions. Yeah. Yeah. So going to the conclusions, please see if you agree with some statements that I can bring to us. First, as you mentioned, the perception of risk so important as the real constraints and can affect price and flow of energy in the region. Of course, in the region, as you said, the global
Mark.
results too. And price can skyrocket and have some spikes depending on the how long this conflict will remain. So, if you wanted to add something for these conclusions, please.
Yes, yes, exactly. Because one of the components of the price is the uncertainty to have access to oil. Yes,
Oil.
and every time that it changes the situation, I know that the United States sends carriers and different
Mhm.
type of fighter chips for the region. The
Uh-huh.
idea is to try to keep the market not just to give support to Israel, but to ensure that the ship can keep
Perfect.
transporting in the region. But the problem is not this; is the perception of the market.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
even if you live in a unsafe, unsafe place, even if I send a policeman to stand in front of your door,
Of course,
you are
yes.
supposed to be a little scary and to
Yeah,
avoid some type of
yeah.
activities because you know that the region is very unstable, is very unsafe.
Any fail can affect you, so you cannot assure that everything will be controlled. Something can go out of control.
Yeah, yes,
Per-
it's pretty the same, and it's gonna affect the price.
Perfect. So this was Nelson Ricardo Fernandes da Silva. He's a Brazilian army officer, 25 years in the past, and nowadays he's a consultant. Thank you so much. Was a pleasure having you here, Fernando.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.